My friend and I were recently having a friendly argument over whether degrees are even worth it anymore. He was defending the traditional path, saying it provides a foundation, but I couldn't get past the numbers. I told him that for most people, a degree is not an asset anymore. It is a liability. It is essentially a very expensive subscription to your past self. We were told for years that a degree is an investment that always pays off, but that math has fundamentally broken. The reality is that unless you are in a highly regulated field like medicine or structural engineering, your degree is likely a net negative asset. A 2025 report from the HEA, the Higher Education Authority, revealed that nearly 52% of graduates are now underemployed, meaning they are working in jobs that do not even require the degree they spent 4 years and 6 figures to get. When you factor in interest rates that have stayed stubbornly high through 2026, you aren't just paying for an education. You're paying a risk tax that prevents you from ever taking a real swing at a career pivot or a business idea. A degree in 2026 isn't a badge of honor. For most people, it is a debt anchor. If your monthly loan payment is higher than your ability to take a risk on yourself, then your education didn't set you free. It trapped you. We've been sold this idea that credentials equal competence, but the market is proving that wrong every single day. The return on investment on a non-specialized master's degree has officially gone into the negatives for the first time in modern history. We're seeing a generation of people who are overeducated and underskilled. Let's look at the actual numbers because the math doesn't care about our feelings. According to the 2026 Student Debt Outlook report, the average graduate now leaves school with over $37,000 in debt for an undergraduate degree. But that is just a starting point. If you went for that safety of a master's degree in a general field, you're likely looking at closer to $70,000 to $100,000. At current interest rates, that debt can easily double over the life of the loan if you're only making the minimum payments. The Federal Reserve's 2025 survey of consumer finances showed that the wealth gap between those with student debt and those without has widened significantly. It is not just about the money you don't have, it is about the opportunity cost of the money you're sending to the government every month. That is money that isn't going into a high-yield savings account or in an index fund. By the time you pay off a $100,000 degree, you haven't just paid $100,000. You've lost out on nearly $500,000 in potential compound interest over your lifetime. You have to stop thinking about your degree as a one-time cost. It is a lifetime drain on your wealth. Every dollar you send to a student loan servicer is a dollar that isn't working for your future. The math is simple. If your degree doesn't increase your earning power by at least 25% in the first 3 years, then you bought a liability, not an investment. We need to stop treating higher education as a default setting. It is a financial product, and like any financial product, you have to look at the terms and conditions. In 2026, the terms are terrible for the consumer. Wages for entry-level degree-required roles have only risen by 3% since 2023, while the cost of tuition has jumped by nearly 12% in that same window. The degree trap is a mathematical certainty at this point. The biggest lie of the last decade was that a degree would protect you from market shifts. But in 2026, your credentials are being outpaced by people with zero debt and 6 months of specialized training. This is happening across every field, from tech to project management to the trades. Companies are finally realizing that a 4-year degree in communications or general business doesn't actually mean you know how to do the job on day one. A 2025 LinkedIn Global Talent Trends report found that 75% of hiring managers are now prioritizing skill-based hiring over degree-based hiring. They're looking for specific certifications in AI implementation or data storytelling or specialized technical skills. They want to see a portfolio of work, not a piece of paper from a university that is still teaching curricula from 2018. The world is moving too fast for a 4-year feedback loop. By the time a university gets a new course approved, the technology has already changed twice. And with the speed of AI's evolution, courses are just going to become outdated faster and faster. And nobody cares where you went to school. They care about what you can build right now. If you're relying on a degree from 10 years ago to keep you relevant, you're already obsolete. The person with a 6-month certification and a hunger to learn is going to eat your lunch every single time. I see this all the time in the professional world. We have people with master's degrees who cannot navigate a modern workflow because they spent their time learning theory instead of practice. Meanwhile, the person who took an intensive boot camp or a specialized vocational course is hitting the ground running. We're moving toward a just-in-time education model. The idea that you can finish your education at age 22 and coast for 40 years is officially done for. If you're looking for an alternative to the degree trap, you have to look at micro-credentials. These are specialized certifications that take months instead of years and cost hundreds instead of thousands. In 2026, these are becoming the new gold standard for career pivots. According to a 2026 report from Coursera, the completion rates for professional certificates have surged by 40% because people are realizing that niche expertise is more valuable than general knowledge. Take the trades, for example. We're seeing a massive shift towards vocational training. A 2025 report from the National Student Clearinghouse showed that while traditional college enrollment is slightly declining, enrollment in trade and technical schools is up by nearly 16%. People are realizing that a master plumber or an industrial electrician can easily out-earn a middle manager with a master's degree, and they can do it with zero student debt. The future does not belong to the generalist with a degree. No, it belongs to the specialist with a certification. If you want to be unlayoffable, you need a skill that is too specific for an AI to replicate and too valuable for a company to ignore. Don't go back to school for a master's. Go get a certification in a high-demand niche, and that certification is going to vary depending on what industry you're in, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of niche certifications out there. This is a shift from institutional trust to individual proof. You no longer need a university to vouch for you. You can vouch for yourself through your certifications and your actual output. This is the ultimate de-risking of your career. Instead of betting $100,000 on one degree, you can bet $500 on 5 different certifications over the next few years and see which one the market actually wants to pay for. I've always heard from some of the brightest and most successful entrepreneurs in the world that the best investment you can make is the one you make in yourself. So with the cost of everything being so high today, it's far easier to save up a couple $100 for a specialized certification than it is to save up tens of thousands for a new degree that might not even be worth it. So how do you know if your degree is actually helping you or just holding you back? You need to perform a personal ROI audit. Start by looking at your total debt versus your current salary. If your total student debt is higher than your annual salary, you're in the danger zone. According to the 2025 Consumer Financial Protection Bureau guidelines, a healthy debt-to-income ratio for student loans should be under 8% of your monthly gross income. If you're sitting at 15 or 20%, your degree is officially a liability. Next, look at your skill decay rate. Ask yourself how much of what you learned in school you actually use on a random Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. If the answer is less than 20%, then you're paying a monthly subscription for information that has no utility. You need to stop viewing that loan payment as an investment in your education and start viewing it as a legacy tax. Once you change that mindset, you can start making better decisions about your future spending. The final part of the audit is the risk test. If you were offered a dream job tomorrow that paid 20% less but had infinite growth potential, could you take it? If your student loan payment says no, then your degree has robbed you of your freedom. That is the ultimate cost of the degree trap. It isn't just the money. It is a stolen yes to the opportunities that actually matter. If you're already in the trap, what do you actually do about it? Well, the first step is to stop the sunk cost fallacy. Just because you spent 4 years on a degree doesn't mean you have to spend 40 years in that field. In 2026, the most successful people are those who are career fluid. They're taking the 20% of their degree that is useful and combining it with 80% of new skills learned through certifications and hands-on experience. You could also look into employer-sponsored upskilling. A 2026 survey by the Society for Human Resource Management found that 68% of companies have increased their budgets for internal training and external certifications. Instead of paying for your own master's degree, find a company that will pay for your specialized certifications. Let them take the financial risk while you gain the actual skill. A lot of the times, companies may not even be advertising this to their employees because they don't want to spend the money. But the opportunity is there. You just have to ask your boss, your manager, or your HR person of what opportunities exist. It never, ever hurts to ask. Finally, you need to focus on high margin skills. These are skills that have a low cost to learn but a high market value. Things like specialized technical writing or AI-assisted project management. Use the delta strategy. Find the gap between what your degree taught you and what the market is currently screaming for. Fill that gap with a targeted certification and use that new leverage to increase your income. You can literally type in your current job or industry into Google, followed by the word certification, and you'll see so many possibilities. I just Googled it myself for a few industries like project management, accounting, and software development, and found hundreds of legitimate high-margin certifications. The goal is to out-earn your debt so fast that the liability of your degree becomes a footnote instead of a headline. You really aren't stuck, you just need to change the math. If you want to hear about how I personally got rid of my own student loan debt and got onto the path of becoming a future millionaire in the creative field, you can check out those videos on my channel right now. But I want to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And let's get a conversation going down in the comments. What are your thoughts on degrees? Is it an expensive necessity or an outdated relic of the past? And as always, if you have a topic you'd like to hear my thoughts on, drop it down in the comments as well, and I'll do my best to make it happen. And I'll see you in the next video.